Hello and welcome to the Big Brother in Our House podcast, week 3. Huge week. So let's just get right into it. Massive players were out this week. Drama was crazy this week, so I'm so excited to talk about it. I'm joined with Scott. As always, Scott, how are you doing?
Doing good today, buddy. Yeah, super excited. And this time I'm going to be keeping it PG. I'm going to try not to swear. Uh, and as we talk about week 3, which was a huge week, a huge move was made. And I'm not really sure if I see this massive move as a beneficial to the house or as a negative to the house.
All right, well, we'll get
So
in.
as we get into the house, as
All
we get
right.
into it, we'll
All right, well, we'll get into it. Before we start, I just want to shout out our Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Big Brother in Our House underscores between each word. And let's just get right into it. So, Janelle,
link will be in the description.
link will be in the description. I'll make sure to include it. Actually, I think it's already included, to be honest. Um,
Yeah.
so let's just get started with the eviction. Janelle, Big Brother legend, Janelle, out week 3. Um, she went out early in BB14 too. I don't know which one she went out first in. It might be All Stars, but huge move by Tyler. And I don't know if it was the best move for him. What do you think?
Yeah, so Janelle is the Big Brother queen. The old legend came third place in Big Brother 6 and 7. Uh, she was the first one evicted after the coaches came back into the game on 14. Uh, yeah, and I'm going to agree with you. I'm not sure this is the best move for Tyler, and I think he also realizes the mistake he made. Getting rid of Janelle only makes Tyler a bigger target. And especially now that David's just completely blown up a bunch of people's games, it only makes Tyler even bigger of a target. And I think we could tell going into the eviction night that Janelle was going to go. As you could see, she was the only person dressed up, fancy clothes. Everyone else is in athletic wear, preparing for the HOH. And I think that just kind of shared the fact that she was going to go home that night.
Yeah, I agree. I think when it comes down to it for Janelle, the reason that she's out early is just because she has the reputation of the Big Brother queen, and she came in with Kaser. I think maybe if Kaser didn't come in the house, she might have done maybe a little bit better. You might say she would have had to make her own
Mhm.
alliances, which would have sucked for her. But her and Kaser being in the house to start with just put a target on their back right away. Um, so that is basically Janelle's demise and Kaser's demise too, I guess. He's still in the house, but I don't know how long. But yeah, as
Mhm.
for Tyler, I don't know if it was the best move for him. He,
I
Janelle's a
think
big Janelle's a big target in the house, and now he's kind of the next big target for people to be looking at. So
from a game perspective, though, Janelle is 40, right? She's not as good as she used to be, and yet she's still big target. Everyone thinks she's gonna win all these competitions. Everyone thinks she's a big social beast, and I think she still is a good social player. But I think when you played the game 4 times, your social manipulation kind of just goes out the window because people just know this is what you do, right? And especially in a season full of all stars plus David, where you can, where most of the people are gonna see right through you. They're gonna see right through you, especially since they've watched you play 3 times already. They know your strategy, and she's never changed her strategy. And she's always needed competitions and other people to help bail her out. And unfortunately, that never happened for her. So we see her evicted week 3.
yeah, and also don't forget she probably would have been out week 1 had Kaser not won won the safety suite too, right? So it was
100%.
kind of an eviction that we all saw coming, and it is what it is. But let's move on to Kaser this week. He didn't do much campaigning. I think he knew that Janelle was the main target this week, and that the house was kind of looking to evict him, to evict her, I mean. And Kaser, was more just setting himself up for life after Janelle. So really trying to secure the relationship with Memphis a little bit more, even though I don't know if there's much of a relationship there to be had anyways. And different things like that he was doing just to try to stay in the house a little bit longer after Janelle's gone. But I think Kaser's still in big trouble even after this week, just because
I
he's a
agree.
player to put up.
I just want to say I saw something dumb on Twitter right after the eviction. People are talking about how there might be a battle back where Janelle could come back in. There's not going to be a battle back. Julie Chen was telling Janelle everything. You really think they're going to bring her back after she knows everything? No way.
No.
So I just want to say that. That's dumb.
Okay,
That's
well,
not happening.
honestly, that's a
And
perfect gateway because we saw at the eviction, so it was a 9-2 vote for anyone that missed it, when it should have probably been a unanimous vote. So the two votes were Danny and Enzo, who are not even aligned with Janelle, and it made no sense. And basically, I know Enzo on Nicole A's week of her eviction when he put out like the other vote. His thinking was that there was going to be like a battle back at some point. So that's a perfect transition into what you were saying.
yeah, I just can't see there being a battle back with COVID and everything. I think also Enzo is just trying to stir the pot a little bit, trying to get attention away from him and onto other people because they're not going to expect Enzo is the guy who's going to make all these votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And I think so. But that Danny and Enzo situation is really interesting though, because okay, so I was watching the live feeds a bit this week, and I saw that Danny actually asked Cody, Danny asked Cody if if he'd be willing to put out like a fake vote with her, for Janelle, for Kaser to leave, to try to pin it on somebody else, and then Cody said that he wouldn't. So I guess I'm assuming what happened was in between, something I didn't see, was Danny asking Enzo and Enzo saying yes, is what I'm assuming happened.
mhm.
I was kind of shocked that it even happened though. As shocked as Julie probably. 'Cause Julie was shocked too. But yeah, I think they're
I
gonna try
heard
to
Dave.
pin it. They're gonna try to pin it on Bailey and
Yeah.
Davon. I think Davon's too smart in this game that they'll pick it up and they might even get hurt. So.
I heard Danny was expecting a 6-5 vote, so there was definitely a lot of talk
Mm.
that wasn't seen. I'm gonna sort of segue back into Kaser real quick and say that Kaser could, I think he needs to win some competitions to stay alive. But people were now. I know Danny was trying to plan a 6-5 split, which could be very interesting to see how that could affect him going forward. Maybe Kaser gets the chance to sit back in the weeds for a bit as alliances start imploding and he goes a little far. Maybe they're going to start taking care of David and, because I've heard talk about how they want to get rid of David before jury because they think he'll vote better
Mm-hmm.
and
All
they
right.
want
Well,
the
you
fairest
know what?
jury possible.
Let's just talk about David, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the exchange between David, Davon, and Bailey was in that room too, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I got 2 words: rookie mistake.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing. If someone confronts you about something that happened, the one thing you don't do is sell out your own alliance members. They put their necks out for you, keeping you safe. They campaign for you to keep you in the house the week prior, and now you're selling them out to the other side of the house and potentially blowing up their games after all they've done for you.
Mhm.
You say two names. Say any two names. Don't say the people you're working with.
Don't be honest.
Don't be honest. It's Big Brother. Exactly. Say like
I don't even know.
Kevin and Enzo for all I care, right? Like, just don't say Cody and Tyler.
Yeah, and now tensions are high between the Secret Six Alliance, I think it's called, Sacred Six, whatever it's called.
The Slick
Um,
Six.
the Slick Six, thank you.
Yeah.
There's been so many Six Alliances in my life; they just all go over my
Yeah,
head.
it's ridiculous.
Now tensions are going to be high there because Tyler and Cody are both working with Davon and Bailey. So now tensions. That's a brand new alliance, anyways, though. So who knows? They
Can
only
I be
formed
honest
week
here?
2 or 3.
I'll be honest here. I'm starting to realize why David was put in this house. And it's because he's a rookie mistake. So these rookie mistakes are all causing tension in the house. And it's actually becoming interesting to have him in the house because these are all players that went far in their seasons. And then you got David, who never played the game.
Pretty
Really,
much
like
never played the
he
game.
was in the house for a month, but he was out of the game. Like I don't even understand why they still kept him in the house, right? Like I get the whole battle back thing and whatever, but he was in the house for a month not playing. He was so oblivious to what was happening in the house, right? But now it's interesting to see what's going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. David kind of messed up there, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, let's
Segue into Tyler.
let's segue into Tyler. He was the HOH this week. Obviously, made a big move that we kind of said he might regret. And well, honestly, like even still, like even if he might regret that HOH, I think he still had a great HOH run. He got rid of a big target. It's good on his resume. And I don't think he's like, although he is the biggest threat in the house, I don't think he's number one on the pecking order for anyone. I don't think anyone's really trying to get him out. Because
Because I
everyone
think
sees him as an ally.
Because Kaser's going to target Nicole Frenzel. I can say Nicole now. There's only one Nicole. He's going to target Nicole because of Janelle, right? The only person that might be targeting him really would be Kaser, and I don't think he will for now. I think Tyler's still in a decent spot, and he's still a sneaky good player. So I think the one thing I do like about this HOH is he had the guts to go out there and make a big move this early in the game. You don't see that anymore. When do you see a big player go early? You just don't. And for Tyler to go out and do that, that's a lot about his game, right? Which is something that people could view later on as a threat, as he got Janelle out. The jury's gonna like that.
Yeah.
He had the guts to make a big move early. So that is something that could bite him later on in the game. But I do love the big move. I love the willingness to go out there and make a splash. However, I do feel like this wasn't his move. He just gets the credit for it. I feel like the house, if he didn't make the move, the house would have been
Surprised.
against him, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. And I know he didn't want to get rid of Janelle and Kaser for maybe potentially of these reasons. Maybe at the beginning he did, but now he sees it as not as good of a move. And I think maybe Janelle staying would have been the better move because, everyone's going after her. So
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think it was kind of a situation you're doomed if you don't put her on the block, because
100%.
everyone wanted
And
her out from
I
day one.
I respect the fact that he gave both of them the chance to play veto. Too. I think that's just a respectful move.
Hmm.
I think the one thing that really ticks off a lot of people is when you get backdoor. No one wants to be backdoor.
Hmm.
That's just draining, And I just want to say the definition of a backdoor, people get this wrong all the time because people are talking about how they could backdoor Memphis. Memphis would not have gotten backdoored this week because Memphis played in the veto. Memphis would have had a chance to save himself. Therefore, it wouldn't be considered a backdoor. I know this is completely irrelevant, but I just want to get that clear the air here. The backdoor is not just because they
Yeah,
weren't on the block at first. If they have a chance to play the veto, it's not a backdoor.
yeah.
They're in there.
All right. Um, let's move on to someone else. I'm gonna pick a random name. Let's go with Danny.
Okay, Danny.
Um, yeah, let's go with Danny because I
We'll get
really
back to
have
Memphis in a sec.
I have no transition into anyone else. So let's just pick a random name.
Oh,
Danny's
okay. So,
controlling. Danny's kind of controlling the house right now. She's doing almost too well. Um,
mhm.
so I like how she played this week. She kind of is just a social butterfly talking to everyone. But I wouldn't put it past her to win a couple comps later on too. She looked very good in some comps that she did. So
Well, here's the thing about Danny. She's very short-tempered, and at the littlest things will set her off. And if she ever becomes a have-not, if someone ever rubs her the wrong way, that's where this game could hurt her. And that I'm not too certain. I'm not sold on Danny as much as I was last week or the week before. And I think Danny could get into some trouble very, very soon if, you know, if she gets tempered, right? And I think we've sort of started to see that a little bit. Like, I try and think off the top of my head of instance where that's happened. I can't think of any, but like I think we've seen, Danny sort of start getting a little bit upset at
yeah, at people in the
others.
house.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she's still playing a very good social game. I haven't seen her really mess up with anyone. She's kind of well connected. Um,
Hmm.
Meanwhile, Nicole F though, she's playing a great social game too, but she's playing with a lot of emotion. And she's been an emotional player in the past in both 16 and 18. Um, but this season seems almost more like, or maybe I'm just noticing it more. But now that Janelle's
Hmm.
gone, maybe she won't be as emotional because that's obviously her number one target. Has now left the house. But
What was their beef? Like, why did they?
okay,
I
so
don't get that.
yeah, so basically what happened was um, Janelle just kind of was always annoyed by Nicole just in general.
Hmm.
Like just their personalities didn't mesh, and Janelle would like make fun
Like
of her
her
behind her.
voice.
And Janelle would like make fun of her behind her back, saying like, "Oh, like she just talks about her wedding all day." And also apparently, so they were on the same season of Amazing Race. I don't watch the Amazing
Yeah.
Race, but this is what I heard is that they
Hmm.
were on the same season, and apparently Nicole did something on their season that Janelle didn't like, and same thing with Rachel Riley, who was also on the Amazing
Hmm.
Race and Big Brother, because they did like a Big Brother season. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, and then so that was kind of their beef, and then Nicole made Janelle a have not and said some remarks when she did that. Janelle didn't like that.
Yeah.
They got into a whole thing. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much their beef. I think they're just personalities just don't clash for the most part, is what it is. But
Hmm.
with Janelle
Yeah,
gone.
like I knew this must have stemmed. I knew this must have stemmed before they went in the house
Mhm.
because, like, it just seemed like from the get go they had beef. Um, I saw the Nicole comments. I think they were a little bit uncalled for, in my opinion. I think both Janelle has made some uncalled for comments back the other way. And I just think it was very childish behavior on both of their parts.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it just made for good TV though. It did make good TV, but like to be honest, it just never understood me why you're bringing this into the house.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe Big Brother knew that they had beef and they wanted to make the season more interesting. Who knows?
Mm, yeah, who
um,
knows?
um, but yeah, I think Nicole's playing pretty well though. She doesn't really have to worry. Um, her the person that would have
Mm,
went after her is now gone, so I don't even think she
yeah,
has to worry about pretty much anyone in the house.
agreed.
Um, as for the other winner though, Ian should be kind of concerned right now. He's playing a great social game and everyone loves him. But
Hmm.
I think people are realizing that he's almost too good of a social player. And
Yeah.
it might be time to kick him out, backdoor, whatever you need to do to get him out. Because
To
he's
me,
kind of playing pretty well, just in the
I don't
background.
think Ian, I don't think Ian is a backdoor guy. I think he's the kind of guy you could put on the block, and he's not gonna win many physical comps. Maybe if you get a mental competition, he might beat you there. But Ian's he's a very smart guy, and he's definitely got a good social game.
You
So
see,
it's definitely trying to figure out like. So I don't think you need to backdoor him. But another thing is maybe does he have too many allies and you can't evict them?
yeah. You see, I would almost say that it has to be a backdoor if you're gonna do it,
Really?
because
Okay.
not because of the power of veto. Not I'm not worried that he'd win it, um, but only because you want to give him as little time as possible to try to get votes.
That's true.
Because if you give him a whole week on the block, likely he doesn't go home. But if you give him 3 days on the block, there's a higher
Hmm.
chance he goes home.
All right.
So for that reason, I would say he has to be a backdoor, because I'm not worried about him winning a comp. I mean, he won, I think, 4 competitions on his season, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I
Yeah.
watched that season. I only won 2 head of households, and he won a power veto the same, to save him off the block once. So,
It wasn't even like a power veto competition he won. He won the second veto of the week that was opened by Pandora's box.
oh, that's right. That's why he won, with the famous shot of him
Yeah.
like smacking the buzzer, going crazy. That's the
And
shot
then
I'm
that
thinking of.
that was the same week of Dan's funeral.
Mm, that's right. That was a great week. Um,
I'm just gonna get a little bit sidetracked here for a second and say at the time this recording goes up, Ian will have spent 100 days in the Big Brother house. So congratulations to him. Um, I just want to talk a little bit about the Centurion Club. We can talk about a little bit about how many like there's got to be many players that are in the
yeah,
Centurion Club. Like
I
the people who played on All Stars the first time that went deep. Like Will Buggy, they got to be on the Centurion Club. Janelle has got to be over. Janelle could be close. Janelle could be over 200 at this point. No, she wouldn't be at 200. She's definitely over 100 though.
I think she could be at
But
200. But
I I heard Davon this week
oh,
will hit 100. Christmas will hit is at 100. Uh, Paul is almost at 200.
Paul's almost at 200. Wow,
Well, because the
because
seasons
he went
18 and
far in
19
both.
were like they were not like 95 days, so he's almost at 200. If he plays one more time, he'll be over 200
Yeah,
for sure, right? Um, I'm not exactly sure who holds the most stays in the Big Brother house. I would assume it's Paul. I could be very wrong about that. I don't think Janelle stayed long enough in 14 and 22 to gain that from him.
But she did make it to
Um,
the finale night on both
yeah,
6 and 7.
yes,
So,
yeah,
which is
100%.
like 70
I don't
days or so. She might be
counting
close.
Janelle's time. I don't know if they count Janelle's time as a coach either, though. Janelle's
No, I
over
think
100
that
for sure.
counts. That counts.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Um, Davon's over. I think Davon's over 100, or she's getting close. No, I said this week she's 100.
yeah.
Um,
Nicole's probably at 100. Franzel?
Jordan Lloyd, she's got to be over 100.
Nicole Franzel?
Nicole
She's got to
Franzel's
be.
definitely over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memphis too. Could be hitting
Memphis,
100
Dan,
this season, maybe. Dan's at
Dan.
100%.
Memphis has got to be over 100 because Big Brother 10 lasted about 85 days, so they've been in here
Oh,
longer
true.
than 15 days.
So he would have hit it this season.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get back.
Yeah.
Who have we not talked about yet? So Ian, we talked about Nicole Franzel. Bailey.
How about we get? Let's talk about the irrelevant people from this week, the ones that we can get done like that. So we
All
can
right.
talk quickly about Kevin. I think Kevin's still playing a pretty good game. You know, you didn't hear much from him this week because he was a bit irrelevant this week. Nothing to worry about. You know, I think people dangerously see they don't see he's. I'm gonna start that sentence over. They don't realize how dangerous Kevin is because he's laying so low right now. But everyone likes him. There's no one who doesn't like him, and I think, maybe later in the game people will evict him for that reason. But I think he's gonna go pretty far.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, he's just laying low right now. The only way I could see him being on the block is as a pawn, just because people are so connected this season. It seems like there's almost not that many people that are actually not connected. So the only way I could see him going up is as a pawn.
Right. So that could be a way they send him home too, right?
But sorry, say that again.
That could be a way they send him home too. You know, you just if you realize maybe keeping someone else around is better than keeping Kevin around, is when Kevin was supposed to be a pawn, and you're trying to overthrow the HOH and get rid of Kevin instead.
Yeah, but I think right now he has no threat of going home. He's still. I still see him as a jury player, and I think that will be the case for him. Who else was Christmas? So Christmas got saved by Enzo this week.
Right.
So she really had nothing to worry about. Her punishment.
Oh my God.
Her punishment was funny
hilarious.
Though.
That was funny.
How many kids did they have? 9 kids. So
yeah.
I just want to say congratulations. I just want to say congratulations to Enzo and Christmas on their 9 kids.
We'll get to Enzo in a second, but my God, does he make me laugh?
Enzo's a character. He's a character on his season. He's a character this season.
Yeah. We can quickly talk about Davon and Bay because they were somewhat relevant, but not really. They were part of the Slick Six Alliance, but they were really just there for numbers, right? They weren't really, I think the alliance is going to eventually turn on them, so I think that alliance is going to implode. The one thing I do want to say is it's kind of like drafting in the NHL, right? I'll just say it like this, right? When you draft a player, you're bringing someone who's previously outside of your organization. If they stay the same, it's a little bit your fault, right? So now this alliance, the Danny, what Janelle and Kasich suspected was the alliance? It was like Janelle, or sorry, not Joe. It was
Tyler, Cody,
Danny, and Nicole. So these are the people that come up to you, right? So sorry, it was Danny, Danny, Cody, and Tyler coming up to you, right? 3 of the 4 people in that suspected alliance of Janelle are coming up to you. That's a little suspicious to me, right? That they're trying to come. But at the same time, right? Now they're bringing Enzo, Davon, and Bay into this alliance. Now, if they brought them from outside your alliance into the alliance, and this could backfire real bad and could go south real quick for Danny, Cody, and Tyler.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. It could backfire for them, but I think Davon and Bailey are playing pretty well. Bailey might be in a trickier position if Danny and Enzo do say Bailey voted for Janelle, and because that's what I think is happening with those votes. I think they're trying to pin it on Davon and Bailey, because Bailey was so close with Janelle. But I do think that plan's not really going to work out, to be honest. And I think Davon, though, is playing an amazing game and is actually,
I agree,
in my opinion, the most underrated player in the house. And she looks like she's ready to almost finish past jury for sure. Maybe even
because
final 3, because she's got her
mouth is staying shut. Her mouth is staying shut to things she would normally not stay shut to. So I think it's very good for her.
Yeah. She did freak out on David yesterday, but that's whatever. She is playing really well though, and she's really. It goes to show how much she knows the game, because even though she didn't make it far in her seasons, she knows the game inside and out. She knows who's talking to who. She has a good read on everything, and just like in her other seasons, she's always had a good read on everything. But that's always been her flaw, is her emotional side of her game. This year, that's not an issue for her, because I think she knew that was the issue, and she's playing great. She really has a grasp on everything going on in the house, and she knows everything. So
yeah, I agree. I like Davon this year.
Yeah, I think Davon's playing great. And then I believe we haven't talked about Memphis yet and Enzo.
That's it. Yep.
So Memphis, quiet week for him.
Oh boy.
Um,
Not. I beg to differ. Actually.
You beg to differ, really. I'd say you had a pretty quiet. I don't know. So start of the week was more loud for him. So he obviously threw the safety suite as I predicted in last week's episode that he would throw it. Which is just a great move for him. There's no reason he should have won that. And he this week after throwing the safety suite, he didn't do much. I mean, he talked to Janelle and Kaser, kept them on the side, even though he knew the plan was to get them out. Kind of just continuing with where he left off last week. And then he didn't try to anger the house too much after last week. Last week, the house kind of got peed off at him, and I think he realized he was playing a bit like a bad word, but
like an arrogant
person. Yeah. And I'm trying to keep the podcast clean.
Yeah.
So this week, I think he tried not to ruffle any feathers and try to not make people angry and just go on.
Yeah. I'm going to actually disagree with you here. I think Memphis ruffled a lot of feathers this week, even without even attempting to. He's lucky that one of the person's feathers he ruffled was evicted, but her ally is still in the game. And he might maybe be lucky that, Kaser is going to trust him still. But, Memphis threw the safety suite after promising Janelle he would use it on her. And then he went into the veto and said he would save Janelle, right? And it looked like when he got to go up against Janelle, he was throwing the competition to Janelle, which angered his alliance because they're like, well, is he letting Janelle win? And because, well, I don't know if he was actually throwing it or not, because he made a really dumb move, which made it look like he was throwing. Maybe he's really that dumb. I don't know. But he made, he made his alliance think, is he really throwing it to Janelle? Is he really trying to keep Janelle here? But and they're all like, what are you doing, Memphis, right? You didn't want to make a big move. You didn't want to get rid of Janelle last week. Now this week, it looked like you were throwing the competition to her. What's going on here? Are you playing both sides? So I think, Memphis ruffled more feathers this week. And I think eventually his alliance is going to seem as expendable. They're going to get rid of him and they're going to move on.
I see what you're saying, but I think compared to tensions in his alliance last week and comparing tensions in his alliance this week to him, I think he bettered himself this week. But that's just the way I see it.
Okay.
Because tensions were so high with him last week. I think he went up and then he went down a bit. Just a bit
Right.
though. I did see that a little bit off topic that he is currently the least popular house guest in America.
I'm not surprised by that.
No,
Like,
I
that does
saw
not
that. I
surprise
saw
me.
that Big Brother had a poll, and he was like 90% disliked and 10% liked. Memphis is one of my
I
favorite
bet.
players from BB10, so I'm kind of still cheering for the
Yeah.
guy, but I
Yeah.
do see why people wouldn't like him.
hmm
And
I think
last,
I think I think we switched gears from the most hated house guest in the house to probably one of the most well loved by fans.
uh, I think he was high up. I would like to say though,
Yeah.
Tyler was the most liked. He was
Ooh.
he was basically the opposite of Memphis, so he was like 90% liked, 10%
Yeah.
disliked. I think he win America's favorite player on his season? I think he might have.
Yeah, he did. He did,
Yeah,
and he got like 75 grand for coming in second. Not bad. Not bad.
yeah. So he's always
About
been one of America's
500K.
favorites, and he was one of my favorites before this season too.
Mhm.
Um,
I just love this is irrelevant, but you go back to the first All Stars and then you get Will and Dagger and he's like, Kaser is America's darling. I want to get Kaser out of here.
yeah.
I love Will.
And lastly, let's talk about Enzo. Enzo this
Yeah.
week. Um, I'll let you. I'll let you take the floor. What did you think of Enzo's game this week?
Okay. He is fantastic. Okay. He's a really good player. And I don't think he's going to win it this season because I think he's playing too strong of a game for people to keep him around long term. But Enzo, he's the kind of guy that I could see winning the America's favorite this year. And he won the safety suite, saved Christmas. It might have angered Davon a little bit that because I know Davon won the +1, she wanted the punishment. But how many feathers has Enzo ruffled? Who in this house can say they do not like Enzo, right?
Nobody.
And exactly. So Enzo's not really on anyone's radar. He's laying low, but he's in the game, but he's laying low, but he's a part of everything, right? So it's like I think Enzo's slated in a position to go far, but I think eventually people will realize everyone in this season is too smart to realize that they're way too smart, and they're gonna realize eventually Enzo, if they don't get rid of him, he's gonna win the game. So that's why I don't see Enzo going far, but he's definitely going to go to jury. He's got a lot of allies. If he keeps loyal Cody around, that could help him out.
Yeah, and I just realized we didn't talk about Cody. Um, but yeah,
Oh,
I agree with you, Enzo. Um, he's playing great. He's obviously a social butterfly as always. He's talking with everyone. He's in with everyone. Has no real target on his back. He's definitely a threat to go top 3. I'd say right now my top 3 would actually be Tyler, Enzo, and Cody or Davon. One of those two. That's
Hmm.
probably my top 4.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm in the same boat.
yeah, same. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll see what happens. Cody's obviously playing well. This week he stayed kind of quiet. He won the power of veto. Decided
Hmm.
not to use it, right? He won it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Decided not to use it. So he's still a comp beast. He had no reason to use it though. And
No. Although Janelle did offer him a lot to use it.
yeah, I heard about that deal, but I don't think he ever had any plans of
No.
using it.
She
And
she offered him his. She did offer him
her
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 wedding
wedding
band
band.
to vote
Yeah,
to stay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he was ever going to do it though.
No. No.
But other than that, kind of quiet week. Other than the power of veto, just adds
Hmm.
another competition to his resume. So
Yeah.
that's good
So
for him.
before we wrap up the podcast, I'd like to try a new thing with you. Let's do a quick rapid fire on each of the house guests. So I'm gonna say each house guest's name, and I want like one word or one sentence on how you would describe or how you think they're playing.
Okay,
Cool.
this is fun. This is fun. Okay, let's
All
go.
right, Bailey.
Bailey, kind of emotional, but playing great and picked a good partner.
All right, Christmas.
Christmas, social butterfly, playing excellent as well, and is a threat for jury.
Cody.
Cody, Cody's just a physical threat, playing great, connected with everyone as well, and has a great alliance member with Enzo and Tyler, and is well set up in the game.
Devon.
Davon. Davon playing a great social game, kind of in the same boat, talks to everyone, and um, has a very good read on what's going on in the game and knows exactly what's happening with everyone's game.
Danny.
Danny, Danny's playing great too. Social butterfly as well, has to control her emotions. If she can do that, she'll go far.
David.
David, um, David, rookie mistake. That's all I'm gonna say.
Enzo.
Enzo, he's the Mau Mau. He's controlling the mafia in the house. He's controlling the house um, with his social maneuvers and his wit.
Ian.
Ian, laying low, but playing a great social game and is well liked by most of the house.
Kaser.
Kaser, in a tough position right now because his duo is gone, but we'll see what he does.
I'm just gonna step in here on Kaser before we go on. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. Here's how I describe him. 10th place. Okay, moving on. Kevin.
He looks like he's going to be in 10th place. Kevin
Yeah.
is well liked, but could be used as a pawn eventually.
Memphis.
Memphis, he's playing arrogant, playing evil, but is still aligned, and who knows if that alliance is going to last.
Nicole.
Nicole F, she is another social butterfly, playing a little bit emotional, but now that Janelle's gone, she can control her emotions and is again a social threat, just like she was in the season that she won.
Tyler.
Tyler is 100% running the house. Competition, like a comp beast, has nothing to worry about and is cruising his way to becoming the BB22 All Stars winner. Heard it here first.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, I think that's it for this episode of Big Brother in Our House. Do you have anything to add quickly before we go?
No, usually we give our predictions for the week. We're not going to be doing that this week because we don't know who the HOH is yet, and we are trying to keep a spoiler-free podcast. Um, but yeah, we'll see what's in store for week 4.
Yeah, I agree. We can't obviously don't want to spoil anything. We actually don't even know who won HOH, so 100%. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week after the live eviction, or we post every Saturday, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, we record right after the live eviction, and we post Saturdays at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time.
All right, tune in next time. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We are on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Outcast,
We're on all of
YouTube.
them. There's like a bunch of them. There's random ones that they just randomly signed us up on. So I'm sure if you just
Exactly.
look us up wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll probably find us. Once again, our Instagram is Big Brother in Our House, big_brother_in_our_house. Follow us on there to get notified right away when we post. And then you could click the link in our bio, and it will take you right to wherever you choose to listen to the podcast. And yeah, we'll see you next Saturday.
Peace.
All right, have a good one, guys.